Colin, part of the Lotus Box team, along with Dylan Donegan, Hunter Nance. All in attendance this weekend as well.
And off to a great start, obviously. No losses yet for Collins. And Teamer Emerge looks to be a deck that has gained a lot from Hour of Devastation as well. This should be a player going forward.
Tap land here for Collins. It'll be Thraben Inspector from Toolcraft Exemplar. Or sorry, Thraben Inspector from Sam Ball. Looking in hand here, Veteran Motorists, both at the ready. Unclear if we have a second land on Sam. This is both players mulliganing to 6 here.
And Sam already has a copy of Claim to Fame in hand. That one's going to take some time to see any action.
You get the Thraben Inspector killed, then you bring it back. And it's not ideal. 2 Vessels of Nascency for Collins. Sam does hit the next land in another Concealed Courtyard, makes Walking Ballista and attacks. No red mana, though, yet for the Mardu player. And that cost in this turn is I think he would have liked Veteran Motorist given the option.
Yep. Yeah, almost assuredly over a 1/1 Ballista here. When your opponent leads on Vessel of Nascency early, it's pretty clear that they're probably playing some kind of a merge deck or at least have some kind of Delirium package.
Vessel of Nascency cracked for Collins. Has the choice between Evolving Wilds and the copy of Champion of Wits. He'll take the Champion of Wits. 3 card types in his graveyard now. Sorcery, Land, and Enchantment.
Champion does a reasonable job of finding you more land drops. Just drawing 2 cards is hard to pass up. If Collins' mana is developing fine, it makes a lot of sense to take that one over a land.
Swing for 2 more here from Sam. See if he can keep hitting lands here. He missed on land drops, and he really does need red mana. You look at his hand, it's 1 Claim to Fame, 2 Veteran Motorists, and 2 Unlicensed Disintegrations. If he can find that red mana source, this should be fine. I was a little surprised he didn't just immediately crack the Clue main phase to go fishing for the land.
Especially given that he's playing a Needle Spires and a Canyon Slough. You'd really want to be able to play them straight away, get that tap turn out of the way.
Here is the Champion of Wits. Draw 2, discard 2 for Collins. Some extra lands here.
Has found a Botanical Sanctum and an Evolving Wild, so shouldn't have too much difficulty developing his mana from here.
Teamer Emerge. A lot of these Deep Fiend style decks, so good once they get their engine going. Their weakness is that they can be aggroed out pretty easily.
There's also a little bit of tension in the deck. You really want to find your Prize Amalgams and your Stitchwing Scobs.
Right.
Start getting this package going.
Collins discards 2 extra lands and plays a land. Now Sam will crack the Clue. Does that end step. This is a land. Okay, it's Aethersphere Harvester. No harm, no foul. Can he hit a land? He can. It's Spire of Industry, too. That's the red mana he was looking for.
Yeah, with that Ballista on the battlefield. He's also got an Aethersphere Harvester he can cast this turn. That would make it so he very likely will have an artifact going forward.
He will disintegrate the champion. Collins takes 3 and is going to take 2 more on the attack. He'll go to 12.
It's a bit of aggressive use of a disintegration, but what it does do is it keeps Collins off of a potential Elder Deep Fiend on the following turn.
I would say I did like that. Another Champion of Wits, though, the draw for Collins. Well, you know, I also do like the disintegration because Sam has so much damage in his hand. He just wants to lead on it because he needs to cast them all, and he's got another disintegration in his hand. He almost has all the damage wrapped up already.
You're getting in a couple chip shots. You know, Collins is still at 12. It's just a 1/2 and a 1/1 for Samuel attacking. The Ballista puts Collins on a functional 11 for now. The thing about the combat on that turn, if he doesn't cast a disintegration, is that he has a 1/1 and a 1/2 attacking into a 2/1, so you have to give something up.
Right.
In most circumstances, trading the Inspector is pretty free. You don't really care about that one, but he definitely doesn't want to lose the Ballista just yet.
Another Vessel of Nascency, and this is a good one for Collins. Finds Vessel, Amalgam, Kozilek's Return, and Reduce to Rubble.
And with Samuel just controlling 3 lands, you might even see a situation not too far off where Collins can use that Rubble side of the Reduce to Rubble to really push the tempo in his favor. He'll have to get on the battlefield first.
Takes another Vessel. So now he has the Amalgam and the Kozilek's Return. He'll cast Grapple. Mills over 2 Elder Deep Fiends and a Stitchwing Scob. Boy, this turn has really shaped up for Collins.
Yeah, the Scob was really the one piece he was missing from his graveyard, and finding that there for him is huge. You can choose to pick up a Champion of Wits or an Elder Deep Fiend. It's going to be tough to get a Deep Fiend in short order.
And he's going to actually pick up a land and then play it.
If he already has access to an Elder Deep Fiend, with that land, he can just get the Scob back, cast a Deep Fiend off of Emerge.
Right, right.
He also has a little bit of life to play with. He is still at 12.
Aether Sphere Harvester for Sam Ball. And a swing just for 2. Collins goes to 10. That's a pretty light damage turn.
You also got to figure with the aggressive use of that previous unlicensed disintegration by Ball, Mullen likely suspects that there's another copy of that card in Ball's hand.
Keep in mind that claim to fame in Sam's Ball's hand. The fame half of it is not irrelevant on this board. For 1 and a red, this is the aftermath part. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn.
Tricky thing is going to be getting that card in his graveyard. He'll need a 1 or 2 mana creature to pull out first. But yeah, with the Harvester on the battlefield now,
yeah,
Mullen is under a lot of pressure. I'd like to be able to set up a situation where he can find that Aether Sphere Harvester animated as a creature, get something on the battlefield to emerge to an Elder Deep Fiend, flashback that Kozilek's Return, that'll clean up nicely. But he's a ways off of that. Only lands on the battlefield currently.
Traverse the Ulvenwald for Collins. He does have Delirium. Usually when we see these decks play, I would think they just get Elder Deep Fiend every time. He's not doing anything to challenge that.
Yeah, he's already got the Scob in the graveyard.
Well, it's just, that's what the deck does.
Right.
I like my tutors that way, you know. Summoner's Pact is just Primeval Titan. Traverse is just Deep Fiend. I'm in.
The only other option you could realistically look at here would be Ishkana Graph Widow.
Okay, he has one of those in the deck as a Traverse target.
Does a reasonable job of blocking, but again, he's likely suspecting that Ball has another unlicensed disintegration in hand.
You look at the cards here for Sam Ball. Thraben Inspector, Veteran Motorist. Unlicensed Disintegration. Looks like he's going to try to play Motorist here. He's going to go for a Crew.
And the Motorist is nice because crewing the Harvester with that would get it up to 6 toughness.
Right.
It'll get out of the range of the Kozilek's Return.
Well, there's actually a window on that trigger. No, the creature pumps. You're right. There isn't actually a window to kill it, right? It pumps it before it becomes a creature.
Right, yeah, it just makes it so that the creature crewed by it has +1/+1. It's not an additional trigger or anything like that.
Right, so yeah.
Or does it?
I believe the vehicle gets +1/+1 before it turns into a creature.
Okay.
I don't believe there's a that is how that works. There's not actually a window. Yeah, it's like the vehicle it turns into a 4/6 and then it becomes a creature.
Sure.
It's really strange, but I know if I explained from a judge, there's not a point. There's no window where you can 5 it to kill it if he does this.
I had a shortcut in my brain going. I knew that it worked.
Yeah, you're like, I know he's making the right play. This is what I often refer to as like the way that a lot of Magic pros or players know the rules is like, I'm not a judge, so when I try to explain a ruling, I sound really foolish, but I do know that when I crew this guy this way, the 5 damage spell doesn't get me.
Right.
Because I asked a judge at one point, and he told me that was how it worked.
And when I appealed, the head judge said the same thing. The Deep Fiend tapping some stuff down, and Kozak's return will be coming back.
So yeah, Harvester does live through. Deep Fiend did tap it though, so no attack. One damage upstairs from the ballista. And now Prized Amalgam comes back out of the graveyard. Collins untaps.
Colin light on resources, though. Just drawing up to a second card in hand. One of them is a land. He does have a Lumbering Falls on the battlefield. Can turn up the pressure that way.
Swing here for 8. Sam down to 10. And reduced to rubble. You mentioned that this might be important. So up to 3 lands don't untap during their controller's next untap step. What a blowout of a play here.
Yeah, and Collins just has a lethal attack on the following turn as well. Ball's going to need to produce a mana.
Won. Yeah, unless he can play the 3 of
Untapped
Inspector.
Black Source. Oh, that Spiral of Canal's not going to do it. If he had untapped Black Source, he can claim back the Thraben Inspector, crew the Harvester.
Sure, this is really neat. Reduced to Rubble is a card where normally I've always played it in Limited, and I don't even really like it there. It's thought as like a counter spell. Out of this Teamer Emerge deck, I bet we see the second half get played more often than the first.
It's a deck that incidentally puts a lot of cards in the graveyard. Elder Deep Fiend taps lands.
Yeah, the interaction of Deep Fiend tapping lands, Rubble they don't untap. That was filthy, and Collins is going to win the game.
Lumbering Falls, rumbles up and cleans up.
Some nice play there by Collins. Mullen, so he's up a game right now with Teamer Emerge. Wow, all right, so let's go ahead and look at some of the sideboards, though. I'm going to start with Samball's Mardu vehicles. 3 copies of Metallic Rebuke, 2 Negate, 2 Abrade, 2 Chandra's Defeat, 2 Chandra Torch of Defiance, 2 copies of Declaration and Stone, a Crook of Condemnation, and a Nahiri the Harbinger.
So, oddly enough, the best find here is the worst Relic of Progenitus, that Crook of Condemnation. You can actually use this to target cards in graveyards, which is pretty nice. You can pluck away those prized amalgams, get rid of Kozak's return, things like that. He'd like to have more than 1 copy, but that one is really nice.
Yeah, interesting in that card. It's just a reprint of Relic of Progenitus. It's so much worse. But
it costs more mana, but it targets cards, not players, which is an upgrade.
Okay.
Declaration in Stone as a clean answer to Prized Amalgam or just 5/6 Elder Deep Fiends. That does seem pretty good here.
I guess, yeah, what I'm interested with the Crook is that, yes, this is a matchup that it's designed for. When I first read the card, I think my question was, look, there's so much more mana attached to this effect than I'm used to. Is it even playable? And I think we're going to see that.
Right.
Now, on Collins' side, he has 3 copies of Abrade, 3 Fevered Visions, 2 Negate, 2 more Reduced to Rubbles, 2 Magma Sprays, a Glorybringer, a Jace's Defeat, and a Tireless Tracker.
This isn't a counterspell matchup, but this is definitely an Abrade matchup. That card is phenomenal here. That should destroy a lot of stuff on ball side of the battlefield. That one's really nice. The Magma Sprays clean up a lot, too. They can deal with things like Scrap Heap, Scrounger. There's a reasonable argument for Glorybringer just because it has that kind of Flame Tongue Kavu effect.
Now, I do see Fevered Visions. Is this a Fevered Visions matchup?
I would be very baffled if that one came in here. Your opponent's loaded up on 1s, 2s, and 3s. That's kind of the worst spot to give them extra cards.
Okay, so the Fevered Visions matchup, we're looking more at like blue-red decks?
Yeah, like something that has an average mana cost of at least like 3.5.
Okay, I can see that. All right, they're going to get ready for a second game. Over at StarCityGames.com, we've had game nights. This is our now entering its 2nd year. These are exclusive pins and tokens just for playing in the regular tournaments you'd be playing in at your local store. For July, we are currently giving away the Goose of St. Traft. These are all excellent creature magic animal hybrids. The 4/4 Flying Angel Bird being given away. Next month, we'll be giving away the Puggernaut. This is your favorite dog or artifact creature or beast. Can be used for all of the above. It's kind of, the art reminds me of Juggernaut, but then it's kind of like a Wormcoil Engine because it's a 6/6 artifact.
Ooh. The tokens are 3/3s, though.
You got a good point. What's your... All right. We'll have to figure this one out. And if you get signed up right now over at StarCityGames.com/game night, we can get you the token for Smell Snare. This is the 1/1 Wizard Skunk counter spell.
I think my favorite part of this art is that dog in the top left.
Dog, don't, yeah. So you can find a game night near you at the same place, starcitygames.com/game night.
It smells bad enough to get his attention, but not to make it drop the stick.
Well, yeah, those are unrelated things.
The stick remains the most important thing in the dog's world, but now that world's kind of stinky. I really enjoy this Emerge deck. Elder Deep Fiend, that's such a sweet card.
Yeah, I got my first view of this, what is it, not this season, but the previous one, the regional PTQ in Minnesota. The top deck, the one that won through in top 4, was a blue-red Emerge deck. Watched that one run the table and thought, this is a really nice deck.
Yeah.
Saw it beat Mardu in the top 8 to claim the spot. The matchup does seem close.
Yes. That changed a bit. You know, these are braids out of the sideboard. Those are huge upgrades for Collins Mullen.
Right, the abrades are really nice.
In particular, you saw that game, you know, Ball was able to use some fancy work to make a 6 toughness vehicle. Abrade's just going to shatter any artifact that shows up to play.
The scary thing I think about the blue-red or Teamer Emerge deck, well, always to me felt like some of the inconsistency with it, that on the early turns, the only cards that do anything are Prized Amalgam, Lightning Axe, and then it's just a stack of cantrips.
The Vessel of Nascency is really slow to develop your battlefield here.
I actually kind of like it. It's a little more consistent than, say, you know, the straight blue-red version, they're playing Tormenting Voice. Vessel of Nascency goes through more cards. You see Collins Mullen playing a couple copies of Strategic Planning as well.
Champion of Wits does a great job at making the deck a little bit faster. It also plays to the board. You know, that 2-1 does square off reasonably in this matchup. It's not excellent by any means, but it can do some reasonable blocking. And if it sticks around, you can make an Elder Deep Fiend on the following turn.
Yeah, and it's just both the things the deck wants to be doing, right? It's a cantrip, which is basically all the deck does in its early turns, and it's also an emerge target, or emerge creature for the Elder Deep Fiend.
Right. Can help you discard prized amalgams. Really just a lot to like on that one. Also, when you get to the point, if you have 7 mana, you eternalize it, trigger prized amalgams that way. Yeah, that's one of the more hyped cards out of Hour of Devastation.
So both players keeping here. Sam starts on Inspiring Vantage. Looks like 6s for both sides. I actually really like one thing about the Teamer Emerge deck. I like how it plays in games with mulligans as well. This deck, watching it play is very hard to pilot, but can play resource light because of its use of the graveyard.
Okay, when your deck gets really heavy on graveyard synergies, it's kind of like having 2 hands. As long as you have some tools to aggressively mill yourself, you're really stocking back up.
Heart of Kiran for Sam Ball. No, some of the things I've seen the more experienced pilots of Emerge in Standard do is a lot of times plays where they will stop making land drops at 5 because of out of respect for cards like Stitchwing Scob.
Yep.
Veteran Motorist from Sam. The motorist will jump into the Heart of Kiran and deal 5 damage, putting Colin to 15. A scry of 2, but important to note that Sam did not play land.
And Collins failed the abrade check there.
Collins, though, will main phase Kozilek's Return. Doesn't want any crewing in response. And it's okay. Veteran Motorist brought his friend. That guy also knows how to drive the Heart of Kiran.
Yeah. And if it's motorist crewing every time, the Heart is a 4-turn clock instead of a 5-turn clock.
It's double scry to the bottom again. Crew and swing. 5 more. Collins to 10. Did Sam scry land to the top last turn? Did not.
And a little heavy on expensive spells. Looks like Claim to Fame, Ethersphere Harvester, Gideon Ally is in the car in the hand for Ball.
And we see it Stitchwing Scob from Collins. I was a little surprised to see Claim to Fame still in the deck. Sam's creatures generally don't die until they are very dead. Like we saw last game, all his creatures survived, and then a Kozilek's Return Deep Fiend hit. Then Claim to Fame didn't matter.
Yeah, a lot of times the way that the Emerge deck actually sweeps you just puts them so far ahead on the board. You won't be able to leverage the Claim to Fame.
Here is Toolcraft Exemplar. The Exemplar is going to crew the Heart of Kiran, and Motorist and Vehicle will swing. Well, Scob will trade with the Motorist, so Collins takes 4, going to 6. I will say now, though, the claim to fame in Sam's hand is looking pretty real with Collins at 6.
Right, getting back the Motorist, getting more Scry triggers. If he has another land to give it haste.
Yeah, now we're down to 1.
Oh, of course, he also just use it to crew the Heart.
Yeah.
It's going to take a black mana source to do that. But.
Well, this is the scary part from the Teamer Emerge deck, is just so few of your cards are castable early. You know, like I said, Collins is at 6. He has played something each turn. His cards are kind of, until he starts doing really powerful thing, his cards are pretty medium.
Right.
You know, a 3/1 flyer for 4. That's well below what you'd expect.
In the very aggressive decks, they can just be the worst matchup for a deck like Teamer Emerge.
Yeah, the mono, I'm thinking the Jonathan Job mono red deck we saw earlier. I can't imagine Collins wants to play against that.
Right.
If you missed that, for the record, both Jonathan Job and teammates playing that deck with the winner in round 1, both in the 3-0 bracket right now. It looks to be a real contender this weekend.
Yeah, that deck just got significant upgrades. It's been a while since we've really seen mono red in standard.
Yeah. Last time we won a pair of Pro Tours. It's kind of the renaissance for mono red.
It's pretty amusing that the upgrade was non-basic lands.
Yeah. Collins, though, speaking of upgrades, he's going to play that Champion of Wits. That card really looking to put Emerge back on the map.
5th land entering the battlefield tapped, however, won't be able to activate Stitchwing Scob on this turn.
Heart of Kiran will swing, putting Collins down to 2.
And Ball has already drawn on License Disintegration. Finding a black mana source should close out this game if he can't just do it with the tools already available.
You know, he could, no, wait, claim to fame. You can't just discard it and pass the Aftermath half.
Yeah, I've played a couple games of the card in Modern already, and it is not held up to what I expected from it. Feels more like a 1-of card than what I previously thought, like a 2-of.
I don't know, you get your Delver back.
Well, yeah. And you give it haste and you jam for 3.
All right, you get Snapcaster Mage back with that. That's nice.
That's the big find.
Okay.
Sometimes you get Death Shadow, but Snapcaster Mage is really the big winner.
I suppose it's not Delver. I would get back Sakura Tribe Elder, 3 and then go get a land.
Or just get a land. You know, save that to haste up your Primeval Titan.
Back over to Collins. Needs to survive another turn. He'll cast Traverse the Ulfin Vault. Instant creature, sorcery land. Yeah, that has Delirium enabled. So, much like I said before, it's going to get Elder Deep Fiend. That's what the card does.
Collins has some reasonable closing speed, but he has to deal with Heart of Kiran.
Yeah. He
has to fade Black Mana Source to cast Unlicensed Disintegration.
Well, remember there was that Reduce to Rubble. he could, in theory, win through it.
Yeah.
I do like that out of Emerge. Once its good draws are real good once it starts going. He's going to have his work cut out for him.
Yes.
Here is Elder Deep Fiend emerging during Sam's upkeep. Could not attack there, could not hope in case Sam had tried to trade Thraben Inspector. So Collins will tap Sam's both his lands, the Heart of Kiran and the Exemplar. So Sam cracks the clue in response. And he's going to use the Kozilek's Return to clean up all the creatures. And here's the draw for turn. That first draw was off the clue.
Ooh.
Spire of Industry.
That's a black source.
Okay.
The Heart's still hanging around. Collins can navigate through that damage if he's able to draw a Braid and just destroy the artifact outright. That'd be a big win.
There's so many must counters here, though. That Claim to Fame is also a must counter now.
Yep, it's very bad news. And if you didn't have a Braid on turns 2 through whatever, he's looking at the top of his deck for that one. You don't just sit there getting punched in the face by a 5/5 flyer if you have a kill spell for it.
Right. Yeah, he would have had to have found it. Here's an attack with Elder Deep Fiend. Sam goes to 15. Looks like another Deep Fiend in Collins' hand. That's not going to help against Unlicensed Disintegration, however.
It'll buy him a turn, right? Because he sacrifices the other Deep Fiend, taps the stuff. The Deep Fiend, he floats the mana through it. He
Floats
still
the
has the
mana,
artifact.
yeah, floats the mana.
Yeah, that won't do anything. Yeah, he needs to destroy that artifact, needs to counter that spell.
Collins just says go. No tap either.
Yeah, I guess Elder Deep Fiend does not have split second.
Sam passes. They're playing a game of chicken here. Getting back, stitching Scob. Collins is actually successfully playing around in Licensed Disintegration. By holding up his Deep Fiend emerge, he can remove the target for the kill spell and not take 3.
And the ball really just playing right into that. He could have tried to commit something else into his battlefield here. If his plan is just casting Unlicensed Disintegration, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, this is Unlicensed on the Deep Fiend. Yeah, but Collins is going to, if he has a Deep Fiend, he'll counter that.
Yeah, going to -1, probably not the plan.
Okay. Yeah, emerges the Deep Fiend using Deep Fiend. Taps, sure, Heart of Kiran.
Collins still just a little bit shy of lethal, however. Deep Fiend, Scob, Lumbering Falls, that's only 11.
Right, down to 1 card.
Reduced Rubble would be great. I suppose just having another Deep Fiend to leave up that trick again would be a good spot to be in.
He has a basic land, meaning if he plays Vessel, cracks it, and mills over Reduced to Rubble, that would work. You know, if not, the Claim to Fame in Sam's hand is going to kill him as well.
Right. Yeah, as it stands, he really needs to hang back this Scob to get in front of the Heart of Kiran. That's lethal. Claim to Fame, that's lethal. Another Disintegration, that's lethal. A lot he has to navigate through.
So Collins will activate Lumbering Falls, swing. Oh, and he's leaving back the Scob as a blocker. That might work.
You force Ball to have 2 things.
Yeah, I don't know that Claim to Fame is lethal anymore. I think Collins is he's really impressing this game.
There's nothing that naturally has haste.
Another Claim to Fame. That's the second one here from Sam Ball.
And the Gideon and a Chandra Torch of Defiance, those he can't cast.
Collins may have done it.
It's looking really good.
I did not think he was going to get this. So many things he had to do right. That the play where Sam had 2 cards that were both lethal and Claim to Fame and Unlicensed Disintegration. If Collins wins through both of them, that's really impressive. Yeah, Claim gets back Veteran Motorist. Scry 2.
Yeah, you can't draw anything extra this turn, so this is just a scry. Not helpful when you're going to die on the crackback.
Yeah, and he's dead to the attack on board. Collins did it.
And that was the only black source, so he can't cast the other Claim to Fame.
Activate Heart of Kiran. Swing. Collins blocks.
And Deep Fiend closes from here.
Wow. Chandra, Claim to Fame. Heart of Kiran. Gideon. Yeah, all it takes is an activation. Actually, just a swing from Deep Fiend.
Yep. Colin's thinking about what might happen, but there's no reason to sit back.
Huh. Elder Deep Fiend in the hands of Collins. Mullen going to go to 4-0.
Colin's
a great game.
Check all the boxes. The attack just has to happen, and that closes it.
And yeah, you see it on his face too. Collins a little bit like, man, all right, that works. He's surprised too. Well played there. He will stay undefeated.
Yeah, really well navigated. And I've got to say, this claim to fame, especially 3 copies, this feels a lot like being fancy for the sake of being fancy.